Today we'll be talking about the Gulf War, key operations, and Arizona's contribution. The Gulf War between 1990 to 1991 began in Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein. A U.S.-led coalition launched Operation Desert Storm, swiftly defeating Iraqi forces by Nick Labrada and Shelomi. Understanding the Gulf War. The Gulf War was a conflict between Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, and a coalition of 35 nations led by the United States. The Gulf War began when Iraq invaded Kuwait, a small but oil-rich nation. Operation Desert Shield. The initial deployment and purpose in August 1990, following Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the United States led a coalition of forces to deploy troops in Saudi Arabia under Operation Desert Shield to protect the kingdom and deter further Iraqi aggression in the region. Coalition forces and international support. By the end of 1990, the coalition expanded to include forces from 34 nations, marking one of the largest military coalitions in modern history, with countries like UK, France, and Arab nations like Egypt and Syria joining the effort. Defensive buildup and air superiority. During the 6-month buildup, coalition forces established a formidable defense posture, rapidly constructing military bases and preparing for the eventual ground assault, while also gaining air superiority through continuous airstrike aimed at weakening Iraqi forces.
Operation Desert Storm. The offensive begins. So, what were the objectives of this invasion, Operation Desert Storm? It was to liberate Kuwait and dismantle Iraq's military capabilities, including its Scud missile threat. Now, this military operation marked the beginning of the U.S.-led offensive in the Gulf War. It was initiated on January 17, 1991, with a massive aerial bombardment lasting 42 days. Air and missile strikes targeted Iraqi infrastructure, command centers, communication lines, and military bases. Advanced stealth bombers and precision-guided munitions were used for strategic strikes. Ground invasion, known as the 100-Year War, began on February 24, 1991, resulting in a swift coalition victory. Iraq's military was quickly overwhelmed and Kuwait was liberated within days. What was Arizona's involvement in military support? Arizona's military bases played crucial roles in training and logistics for Operation Desert Storm. Luke Air Force Base trained pilots for F-16 fighter jets used in the air campaign. Davis-Monthan Air Force bases supported A-10 Warthog operations for close air support missions. Arizona National Guard units were deployed for logistical and support roles. Defense contractors like Raytheon, headquartered in Tucson, contributed technology for missile systems and radar. Now, the impact and the legacy of the Gulf War. Kuwait was liberated, firstly, and Iraqi forces were expelled, marking a decisive victory. Second, it demonstrated the U.S. military technological superiority and coalition cooperation. It also led to the establishment of no-fly zones over Iraq, monitored by the U.S. and allies. Finally, it set the stage for the Iraq War in 2003 after disputes over weapons inspections and Iraq's compliance with UN resolutions. It sparked discussions on the effectiveness of international coalitions and the U.S.'s role in global conflicts. And our citations.